YouTube? Corncob Piper coming at you still Tuesday evening. Once again, hope everybody's having a great start to their week. This video is going to be a VR to Luke of the Caves 100 sub giveaway. I actually just recently found Luke of the Caves channel. I did recognize him from the Facebook group Corncob Nation though. So I've been checking out his videos, got some great stuff. Big movie buff. I just wanted to say to you, Luke, congratulations, brother. You got a great channel, love the videos, keep them coming. As always, guys, I'm going to go ahead and post the link down below of Luke's channel. Make sure to head on over and congratulate him. And if you haven't already done so, make sure you sub to his channel as well. Still smoking Old Joe Cramps White Label from the Casolaro 125. So for Luke's giveaway, he asked us to do a VR or of our favorite movie or our favorite movie genre. It's kind of a tough one to narrow down your favorite movie. So I've compiled kind of a list, and I've taken some of the main movie categories, I guess, and I picked my favorite from each one of those genres. I'm sure that I've left some of the genres out, but the ones that I've chose to do are comedy, drama, sci-fi, thriller, fantasy, action, horror, and holiday movie, Christmas movie. I'm a big, love Christmas time, love Christmas movies, so I had to make sure to add that one in the list as well. So I guess we'll start right at the top with a comedy. For this one, I chose American Pie. This movie came out when I was in my early 20s. It was just the right fit at the right time. I was in that kind of age mentality, same age bracket, and I never have since laughed at a movie so hard as I did watching American Pie. Just a great written comedy. Very, very light, and you just gag after gag after gag, and just really remembered just, laughing almost to the point of tears during that movie. And I've watched it a couple times since, and it's still funny. Now, the older I get, some of the humor in there is not as funny to me anymore. At this point, always, it's really just a, classic comedy for me. Next up, in the drama genre, I chose Slumdog Millionaire. Another really well written movie. I think it won an Oscar for Best Picture. Came out maybe, 10 years ago or something like that. Just a great movie. I've watched it a few times and still just as good every time I watch it, even though I know the ending now. Just a great, put together movie. Next up, sci-fi. So I grew up in a house with a dad and a brother who were huge Star Trek fans, the original and the Next Generation. I was never a fan of the Star Trek, the original TV show. I did enjoy watching the Next Generation. However, I was a big fan growing up of all the Star Trek movies. And my favorite of all of them was Star Trek 3, The Search for Spock, which I saw when I was pretty young. But really, really remembered enjoying it. And it is my favorite of the Star Trek movies. So for the sci-fi slot, it's going to go, like I said, Star Trek 3, The Search for Spock. Next up is thriller. I chose for this one Ocean's 11, the newer one, the 2001 version with George Clooney. This is one of those movies that every time it's on TV or whatever, every time I come across it, it's one of those movies that I'll stick on, and every time that I watch it, I enjoy it. It never gets old for me. Just one of those, all-time classic movies that'll always, carry a spot in my heart, and can never really get bored of watching too much. For fantasy, I went with Lord of the Rings, the Fellowship of the Ring, the first one. A lot of people will say that the Return of the King, the last movie in the trilogy, was their favorite. But for me, the first one, the Fellowship of the Ring, is my favorite of the trilogy. And, pretty much my favorite fantasy movie of all time. Next up, I'm going to go with action. I chose Die Hard. Once again, another movie came out when I was a kid. Just, you know, right place, right time kind of movie. It's another one of those movies that every Christmas I'll watch it around Christmas time, so I do consider Die Hard a Christmas movie. But one of the greatest action movies of all time. Really put Bruce Willis on the map as an action star. And I enjoy watching it every time I see it. Next up in the category, horror, went with Nightmare on Elm Street. The first one, once again, movie came out when I was a kid. The first horror movie that I really remember watching. Scared the crap out of me. Was scared to go to bed for a couple weeks afterwards. I haven't seen the movie in a long time. It's been years and years and years. I don't know how it would hold up today, but my memory of it is still pretty vivid as, just being a very great, scary horror movie. And the last category here is going to be the holiday movie or Christmas movie. My pipe just plugged up. So for this one, I had a hard time because there are so many Christmas movies that I love, and my wife can attest to you on this. Every Christmas I make my whole family watch Christmas movies every night, and just really like getting into the holiday spirit. So I went ahead and chose for this one A Christmas Carol, the 1984 version with George C. Scott playing Ebenezer Scrooge. Obviously, the movie is based off the Charles Dickens novelette, A Christmas Carol. Just one of those movies that it's a classic, and everybody loves A Christmas Carol, and I like all the versions of it. Even the Bill Murray Scrooge. But of all the versions that I've watched, the George C. Scott 1984 version is my favorite. Probably has to do with something that I was 6 years old when that movie came out. Just probably the first version of it that I ever remembered seeing, and really just that one sticks out of all of them. And then an honorable mention, the movie that I have watched more times than any other movie in my whole life is The Never-Ending Story. I had that movie when I was a kid on VHS, and I watched it so many times that I wore the VHS out, and my mom ended up having to buy me another one. I probably have seen that movie at least a couple hundred times, and I'm not exaggerating on that. I've watched it as an adult with my kids. Still a great movie. I'm actually right now reading the book, The Never-Ending Story, which made me think to add that one in there, but I definitely did want to give that one an honorable mention just because I watched it so many times. So that is my movie list for you, Luke. Once again, brother, congratulations on the subs. I really enjoy your channel. I'm glad I came across it recently. I'm going to go ahead and start watching some more of your videos now and get caught up. And I want to make sure I got this VR in for you before the deadline on the 30th. So, as always, YouTube, keep on piping.